The wonder of the brain and the mystery of consciousness. When I was a little over 20 years of age, I indeed became seriously ill. I had major surgery, and post-surgery, I was unconscious, in a state of unconsciousness, for a considerable period of time, certainly days. Something profound happened to me in that period of time that has stayed with me up and until today. I can only best describe it as an ethereal, heavenly, out-of-this-world experience. And I also had an awareness at that time, despite my unconsciousness, of who was in that room beside my bed, who was there, what they said, and indeed what they wore. Since then, I obviously have been fascinated with the workings of the brain, and indeed, not just the state of consciousness, but the state of unconsciousness. And today, I can tell you that I'm going to share with you some of the most amazing facts of the wonder of the workings of the brain and the mystery of consciousness. Contained within our skulls, we have 3 pounds of grey matter. Indeed, we give little thought to it. There are 120 billion neuron cells contained within this 3 pound of grey matter, intertwined with 100 trillion connections. Now, to put that into some form of perspective for you, I'm going to be using a frequently used analogy, used by professors and lecturers to get that across to their pupils. That is the equivalent of half of the landmass of the United States of America, densely forested by trees, and each tree must contain 100,000 leaves on it. Then and then only will the connections in our brain be the equivalent to the entire amount of leaves contained within that forest. How humbling. Would you look at the workings of our memory? Our memory isn't contained in one place in our brain, but is throughout our brain. It is intertwined. Our brain has infinite storage capacity. Infinite. And in a lifetime, any one of us has the ability to write up to 20 million books if we were to use all the material stored in our brains. How amazing. It has been acknowledged by our most eminent scientists and neuroscientists that nothing exists in the entire universe that is as remotely complex as the brain. Computers have one processing center. We have billions of processing centers, all working together, beautifully synchronized, in perfect unison. How amazing. But to take you to the pinnacle of wonder, one has to examine the mystery of consciousness. It is here, in the cortex of the brain, where our grey matter is transformed into what we know as consciousness. According to science, it is a fact that there are still 40 million differences between us and our nearest living relative, the chimpanzee, on the DNA scale. Two of the most profound differences is our awareness of our thoughts and the mystery of consciousness. It is in an area called the prefrontal cortex. This area defines and it really sets us aside. It is in this area, the prefrontal cortex, where we have the ability to ponder, to reason, to love, to have that all-inquiring mind, to have visions for the future, indeed to have hatred, aggression. All of our thoughts intersect here in the prefrontal cortex and give us what we know is our awareness of our thoughts. But no scientist, dead or alive, has ever managed to define consciousness for us conclusively. What it is made up of, where we got it, who gave it to us, or how consciousness, what is its structure. Because consciousness is inexplicable, it's a mystery. But one thing is for sure, our consciousness gives us our awareness, and it is who we are. It defines us. It rules over us. It rules over our instincts, our drives, and our desires. And then our consciousness decides which one we are going to act upon. But finally, there is one thing that sets us aside on this planet from all other beings, or human creatures. And that is us, as humans. In an act of bravery or heroism, we will put ourselves in danger to save the life of a loved one, or indeed a complete stranger, in an act of heroism or bravery. No scientist can explain to us where we got our imaginations from, or our creativity. Consciousness is inexplicable. And if today we were to invite the best brains into this room and ask them to create an object that remotely resembles the brain and its workings, they would indeed need an eternity of time. And still, they would have met their biggest problem. Where to begin? Ladies and gentlemen, the wonder of the brain, the mystery of consciousness, an enigma, albeit one, made by God.